truly gives us a great pride and privilege to be part of this event. This event is a third edition of GWFM. In fact, we've been in existence since last 6 years. This is the third edition which we are doing. There's another mega event compared to the last year. We have more than 1,000 registrations so far, and expecting both the days put together going to be around 2,000 audience across the globe. Gives us a great pleasure of having you with us. So we have eminent speakers out here across the world. You see that speakers from ANZ, APAC, EMEA, North America, and also Latin America. So there'll be huge takeaway as far as the knowledge is concerned, and we're going to cover in this event as far as the global trends are concerned, workforce innovation, engagement, development, and capabilities. So what's new in WFM? Especially the innovation is a journey, is not a destination. So innovation has to happen like how it has been happening. So important aspects for us to learn what is really new. And we have 50 speakers who are from the top organizations. There'll be immense learning opportunity for all of us. And also we could interact, connect with the people professionally to ask questions, anything, or if you have any queries, feel free to reach out in the questions chat box over there. And also you could raise your hand asking any questions so that we'll unmute you and you'll be able to ask questions. So this event is not just going to be one way of conversation where we're going to have two ways. Feel free to ask any questions that you want. Also you could type down if you can't ask any questions in the chat box at the questions. Also we have the brochure which is the agenda of it. You could look at it in the bottom here, it's there, at the handout. You could download it and take a look at it. The complete 2 days of event agenda is given, with the timing of, in Indian standard timing, IST. You could always compare and look at your time zone and try to join for all the events that we are doing. Today we're going to have around 9 keynote speeches and 6 panel discussions. And for day 2, we are going to have 1 panel discussions and 5 keynote speeches. And we are going to have, very interestingly, we're going to have International WFM Professionals Day. We're going to celebrate. That comes with we're going to celebrate in advance, where you'll get to see people all over the world joining us together. So good to have all of you. Let us celebrate in big numbers. Please ask your colleagues and your network or your friends to join in. You have the link in all the social media. Please join us how you are joining in a similar way. So with this, we want to have very exciting trending topics on the new trends in hybrid workplace and future of workplace, and also we're going to discuss on the data science and strategic decision making and reskilling and upskilling perspective, and next generation of WFM skills required, and diversity and inclusion, and many of the topics that we're going to discuss. Before that, now I'll just pause for a while and see that like if you have the speakers lined up. Now we have Ian. And is the first keynote speaker where he's going to inaugurate the event with the keynote speech. We're going to discuss on the trending topics, and very interestingly, first time in the history of WFM industry, we're going to have a diversity team where more than 10 WFM women professionals and leaders are going to discuss about their leadership and kind of the value which they're bringing onto the table. And this is something very interestingly, we're going to have this. Please join us for this. This is going to be one of the important aspects of it. And please join us if you're not part of our GWFM social media network. Please join us on our social media network. And we exist in Facebook. Also, you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you would get all the insights and all the videos of the events and also the kind of programs which we do. Very importantly, wanted to join us on our LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page, also a LinkedIn group. You could join in any of the places that where you see that we exist here, and GWFM has been creating phenomenal knowledge sharing and professional networking possibilities to all the WFM professionals. And GWFM is your home, all friends. Think that like you belong to GWFM or you belong to the community. We are here to serve the community with the pride and privilege, and we are being non-profit organization trying to thrive and create kind of a knowledge sharing platform worldwide. In fact, we exist in multiple chapters: ANZ, APAC, EMEA, North America, and Latin America. So we have, in fact, 2020, we ended with a lot of global events where we had all the chapters representatives joined in, and we gathered the people locally there, and we did a lot of events. Today, we're going to witness a lot of speakers who are joining from all over the world, from all over the region. So with this, I would take the pride and privilege to introduce Ian. Hi, and good to have you with us. Thank you so much taking your late night time again, in this year. It's always great to have you with us and love to listen to you. In fact, we have got a very big registration this time, and people are excited to listen to you, and especially in the future of WFM in 2021 and 2022, and is need for their help.
Great. Thanks, Shiv.
And to talk about Ahan, Ahan has got more than 2 decades of experience in WFM, and he's known as innovator, and has really created a lot of disruption in WFM, brought in a lot of best practices and new practices, and is known for leading global terms: North America, EMEA, Asia, Central and South America, and service delivery operations, site leading, people management, recruitment, learning and development, facilities and vendor management, workforce management, capacity planning and resource planning, intraday management, shared services, and also global command center. And also extensively worked in WFM analytics reports, data analytics especially, and the data index, WFM index, and extensively in data science. Data science is the essential skills for the WFM. So probably we'll layer something from Ian about it. And also has been a project manager, and managed projects, and also transitioned with the new clients launch, and also like many internal projects which has worked, which are special projects. Also worked in finance, cost control, cost optimization, and P&L accountability, and many more aspects of it. And is a black belt in Six Sigma, and expertise in various WFM tools and technologies. Very interestingly, want to share that Anne is featured as one of the top influencers, top 10 influencers when GWFM has done the research last year. He has phenomenally contributed to the community and also to the industry, as far as sharing the knowledge, and also creating kind of professional networking. And great to have you with us, Anne, today. And it's really gives us great pride and privilege to have you again in this year for the inaugural keynote.
Glad to be here.
With this, I invite Ian to kickstart his keynote. Great to have you, and thus.
Thanks, Shiv, for inviting me here again. It's a good opportunity for me to really talk about the future of workforce. But most importantly, what I'm saying is just like a typical forecast for workforce, right? It could be wrong, it could be right. You're still going to make guesses out of it. You're going to apply math, science, technology to it, but I'm just going to give my 2 cents. Before that, I'll just quickly introduce myself. I run the workforce for Walmart e-commerce stores, grocery, fraud, and the companies that Walmart has acquired, which is Jet.com, Shoes.com, Hey Needle, and a ton of companies. And my team is responsible to really take care of the end-to-end, which is forecasting, planning, financial planning. So talking about workforce for the future, to me, I think the biggest challenge workforce as a group is going to face is really managing supply and demand. So currently, we hire people into a fixed schedule or a flexible schedule, taking an estimate guess that this is what could happen tomorrow or next week or day after. But I think the future of workforce is really going to look very, very different. From the first point would be scheduling. People are going to move around. Customer satisfaction will become a key metric, which is when I say customer satisfaction, of course, the external and the internal. But to workforce, the internal customer is always the agents who's really taking these calls or contacts. And I think the biggest challenge the workforce team is going to face in the next couple of years is how can we really keep people happy as well as meet customer demand. When I talk about keeping people happy, it's 99% of the time we all know that if we give you a schedule, that's what you follow. And then tomorrow, if we change it, sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. But if we continuously change it in the current structure, just because, let's say, the client wants it, or the demand is somewhere else, or volume has moved across, something has changed. And if that consecutively happens, which it will, because if you look at especially e-commerce, right? Customers, there are different sales that happen in different events. There are a ton of things that happen across, and the interval patterns don't remain the same anymore. So I think the biggest challenge we are going to face as a workforce group is how can we ensure we keep people happy and also meet the demand for our customers. Currently, I would say many companies do it well by flexible schedules, give them an option of overtime, extra hours, or you would have a flex staff or whatever it is. But I think in the next couple of years, that will no longer be the future. I think the future would slightly look different from this, where we workforce have to really look at how can we really, because if you look at the current market, right, getting people, investing in them, and just because you're changing schedules or doing ton of stuff to them, to their work-life balance, they're going to quit and go. And that's very expensive for a company, any company, we all know that. So I think the way companies will start looking at it see, some companies do this, but they don't do it as efficient it should be done, because it's not a priority to many companies. But I think the future would be, when it comes to scheduling, would be something as based on your schedule. Your schedule would determine your real salary. Let's look at it that way, right? If you want to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, you might end up making $15 an hour, because that's where everybody wants to work. But if you pick up a schedule where the demand is where nobody wants to work, let's say you want to pick up a schedule which is 2 to 10. So from 2 to maybe 5, you end up getting paid $15 an hour or whatever your salary is, different locations. And then from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8, you might end up getting paid $17. And then from 8 to 10, you might end up getting paid $20 an hour, because the demand is very high at that time, and there's no supply. There's absolutely no people, or maybe people want to. So that would give an opportunity for workforce to really, really think and start proposing or start talking about it, because that gives an opportunity for an agent or an associate or a customer service rep to really make choices for themselves. And it would mostly move into flexible model,
which I think is what the industry would look at. Like, hey, if I have 100 people and all of them want to work 8 to 5 or 80% want to work, then only 40 people are going to get hours because that's where the demand is, and the requirement is just 40 people. And I have 100. So the rest of the 60 would really jump in and say, hey, I only got 20 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe opt in for the 2 to 8 because of my salary will be higher, or, you know, getting extra hours I can pick up here or there. Because in the current structure, we always fill it with a flex staff or doing overtime. But the companies are soon going to realize that's going to burn out people, and that's not going to really going to take us any more forward. That is the biggest challenge I think the workforce needs to start looking at. There are many tools who do it well. There are many tools that don't. But this comes back to the situation which I talked about in the last summit, right? We really need to get people who really focus on solving big problems. I always tell my team that, you know, think about it as a mechanic, right? If you fix a Toyota, just an example here, if you fix a Toyota, you might get $10. But if you fix a Ferrari, then you might get $100. The skill set is still the same. You're still a mechanic. So what kind of problem you want to fix is completely up to you guys, right? So I think that would be something where workforce needs to evolve, needs to really look at how we can do things differently, how we can. This is one of the ideas I just threw out there, but it's something that really comes up to me at many times, is because people are just going to, you know, if you look at the current structure, especially in the US, right? You know, we open jobs and it's really difficult to fill it many times because, you know, there are tons of companies that want to hire, and people are just going to pick up a schedule. 90% of the time would pick the job, number one, for their flexible schedule, for their work-life balance. And if they get a schedule that they don't want to work, then really they're going to be dissatisfied. That, of course, it's going to show on their metrics and ton of different things that's really going to happen. So that's number one. The second thing is skilling, right? I've seen that it's going to be covered. In a typical way, we always used to be, okay, you're a voice agent, you're a chat agent, you're an email agent. I think that is going to change too. So the future would look like it's just based on how forecasting really works. So, you know, in the next few sessions, we will have Nirav from my team will be a part of it, and Nirav is a part of my team in Walmart, and he's responsible for forecasting and planning. And, you know, Nirav does a pretty good job by really saying, okay, we don't need to really train 100% of our staff for voice, chat, and email. That's really expensive. So we want to look at how does volume move day in and day out. So let's say, you know, number one, we have to understand that customers should be given the option of all three, and they get to choose. The customer gets to pick. We don't. Because the customer should have a choice. If they jump in or go to the website or go into the app and they say, okay, chat is 7 minutes, voice is 2 minutes, and email is 8 minutes, or let's say 8 hours. So they preferred the lowest one. So they chose voice or they chose chat. And if the volume is moving by 10-15% in a day, so let's say for chat, it's 110, and then chat voice is 90, then you don't need to really train 100% of your staff. I think the future would be is you need to determine a number. For us, it could be, you know, 20, 25, 30, and have 30% of your staff that is cross-channeled and skilled, that can really handle all call types, all contact types, I mean. But I think many companies try to focus on really giving training 100% of your staff. That defeats the purpose. Which means that there's a problem with forecasting. clearly, because if it clearly shows that you're unsure of what is going to happen. But with 30% of the stuff, volume can move 30% across as long as the overall trend remains the same. Even if the volume goes up in all channels, the wait times will almost remain the same because you have 30% of your stuff that will get either an email, a chat, or a voice whenever they're available. And I think the future of technology is really, really good, where you could get a chat, and then when you wrap up, if you didn't wrap up that chat, you might get a second chat, and you finish the chat, and then you go to the voice. But you cannot absolutely be on a chat or on a voice. I don't know if companies do that, but that would really, really impact customer experience, because you're chatting with one customer and you're speaking with the other. That would be absolutely, really, I think it would really impact customer experience. So skilling would play a major role in the next coming years, but I really think we need to look at skilling very differently, because we're also putting the folks who are really, really, see, for workforce, we're always, many times I tell my team this too, workforce as a team, we're always giving requirements. We're saying, hey, we need 80, we need 120. But we also, I think, have to, for workforce to get better, we need to also start looking at, hey, this is really, I cannot give you 80, assuming that they're going to be on voice and chat. So I think workforce needs to start really taking the lead there of looking at what is possible and what is realistic. And really, really being a good partner, which is going to be very important. I have worked across multiple companies. I have been with so many companies doing workforce. And I think the success, being a successful workforce person, all it takes is partnership. The example I give teams is basically, think about it as workforce, HR, training, all different departments that support operations is the support group, right? So you have operations, which is the parents, and then you have their kids, which is their kids are their agents who take contacts. And we are the support group. We are the uncles, the aunts, and everything. We can really tell you, this is bad for your kid, or we can tell you this is good for your kid. But the ultimate decision still lies in the parent taking that. And I think that is what every workforce team, every operations team would really, really want to work with. I've been into operations. I've led multiple, operations group, and I've always preferred a workforce group that really, really tells me what's right and what's wrong. And that way, when the partnership is good, I was like, hey, what do you think, right? They would start coming to you. But I think it should be a two-way conversation. And I think we need to start training our teams to really, really be as a partner, which I said is a support group. The ultimate decision still belongs there, and stand by it, right? If something goes wrong, hey, let's work it out, let's figure it out. And if it gets better, hey, good for all of us, the customer's happy. Because, many organizations, if you look at it, are really looking at how customers, internal and external, are being treated, right? It's very, very important. If you go to places, there are places where they have their service level as, inside like 90, 10, 95, 90% of the calls in 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That's because they want to give the customer the best experience ever. But with that, it also takes us giving the best experience to our customer, which is our agents. Because at the end of the day, workforce's customer is the agent who takes contact. So we need to really, really try to figure out that. And we have to keep the bar really, really high too. We have to find a balance with our workforce groups, with our, we have to get away from, we've got a lot of tools which are really, really good. Really, technologies like when I started scheduling, I used to do it on an Excel spreadsheet. This was years and years ago. But now we have so many good tools. But I think we should not take these tools for granted. The reason for that is we just can't press a button. We can't say here are the requirements, you load them up and you press the button and really, boom, it filled all your schedules. I think the future is for us to really go and look at, hey, I scheduled Ian from 2 to 4, but Ian doesn't show up every Thursday. So why give him a schedule? Why not reach out to him and try to figure out why is Thursday an issue for Ian? Maybe we could give him half a schedule, maybe cut his hours, or maybe talk to him. And I think that is what the future would look like, because companies are going to start really monitoring this really close. Some companies really do it really, really well. And I'm sure workforce groups have always been there and really got in and talked about, hey, attrition was 40% because 39% left because of a bad schedule. So companies are going to really look at how to improve that, because that's going to cost a lot of money for everyone, right? For the workforce group, for the company, and across the board. So to me, we work with a ton of BPOs across the board. And one thing we always tell them is that, that we set the bar really, really high. And hey, is this something you can do? If you can, we hold them accountable to it. And that's the bet, right? Because for us, customer experience is very important. We really, really need to look at, and there's also ways for us to try to work and figure out what we can do better. And I think those are the two most important things that really come to my mind. Yes, forecasting, planning, resource planning, capacity planning, all of that. Maybe your files will change. Maybe the Excel color would look different. But I think if we can, as a workforce group, these are the 2 or 3 major challenges that I've said that the future is going to look at. Because every company, every industry I've been talking to is always looking for, hey, how can we improve this without an impact to that? And I think all of us as a workforce group need to really, really start looking at how can we get better? How can we really, really improve people's work-life balance and create an environment where, people really want to come to work. I think for us, it's as a workforce group, we all know it's not easy, but I think the most important thing is we have to try. We just have to. When an agent is joining, they get that number because of workforce. And the perception is when they're leaving is also because of workforce, many times, right? Not all the time, but many times. But to me, I think, partnership, empathy, and really, really getting a step ahead of the game. The step of the head of the game is basically thinking forward, right? We forecast for contacts. Why not forecast for that? Hey, last 4 Thursdays, Ian didn't come. So he's not going to show up this Thursday too. So how can we figure something out with Ian? Instead of having the applications really go and schedule Ian every Thursday, even though Ian doesn't come on Thursday. And that just impacts, and then Ian will quit sooner or later. And that's expensive for a company. Or Ian will be put in an action plan because he's given a schedule that he couldn't follow because nobody ever talked to him. So I think that is the major thing. That's a major challenge. None of us are good at it yet, but we will, as a workforce group, overcome this. We'll figure out new ways. When it comes to scheduling, technology hasn't caught up yet because it says, hey, demand is 15, I'll give you 15 if you press the button. Can it go and look at things like, AIs and some technologies that can really go and look at, okay, who's got the good rate of maybe coming on Mondays, giving us a good CSAT, giving us good AHT, who works really well at this, what is their trend, why not give them the schedule, are they available to work, are they happy at that schedule? We're not there yet, but I think companies will start building them. But in order for them to build them, we need to catch up. It's like demand, right? Where somebody told us once upon a time that whatever we're doing today, hey, here are the 10 things these guys are doing, and somebody built it. So unless we do it manually, it won't be built. So that is where I think the future of workforce is going. Those are just the two major things that I've called out. There are many other things. There are a lot of folks that will really bring up good stuff. But that is what I'm personally looking at to really see, because hiring folks and just maybe if they leave in a week, in a month, or 6 months, it's still not profitable for a company. And not only for the company, even if you take away the cost aspect, you're losing a ton of experience, which is just not worth it, because you're going to get somebody else and they're going to face the same problem and they're going to leave. It's like, you have a wall, every time there's a hole, you're just putting a patch. One day that wall is just going to fall down. And then it's going to be too late for any one of us to really look at, okay, what do we do now? So I can pause for questions or anything, but I think, there are a ton of folks here who are really smarter than me, who really understand, who's really been in the deep dives, who really call out few things or really do things differently. My motto is to get the best people. I always look for people who are really extremely smart and who can solve problems. I don't care if they can have a formula or they know IEX or they know Aspect or they know Blue Pumpkin, whatever it is. I don't like that's my last priority, because if you're really, really good at it, you have the energy, you have the skill, you have empathy, and you really, really want to learn, you'll do anything. Aspect will be a week away from learning, or IEX will be a week away. But if I'm going to get the exact opposite, then I know IEX or I know Aspect, and this can never be done. I'm only going to press a button and get 20 people to work because the requirement is 20, then that puts us at a tough spot. And I think, Nirav is also in the session. He'll cover a few things, most probably about, what challenges he faces. But his group, and I have a big group at Walmart that really take care of the end-to-end customer. We can't make everybody happy, right? Like, absolutely not, but we try and we give it all we've got day in and day out to make sure at least we're working together as a team to create the best customer experience. So I can pause the question, sure.
Thanks, Ian. Do you have any questions for Ryan? Feel free to raise your hand if you want to ask any questions and have a conversation with Ryan. Or also, option 2, you could write in the chat box there in the questions tab. Let me see who would like to ask a question. You can raise your hand so you can directly ask questions. There's a hand mark there. Already got to click the hand mark. So you will get unmute option to ask question. Do you have any questions from anyone? Yeah, there's one question now in the chat box, and WFM is evolving and role is evolving. After 5 to 10 years, do you think that the machine is going to take over our roles? And if so, what is the role which we're going to play then?
I think, from what I used to do as a workforce person, which is scheduling on an Excel spreadsheet or forecasting on Excel, and now it's very different of how we forecast. I think, yes, the technology is caught up, but the human need for workforce gets very, very important now, because we're going to do so much automatic, right? It's going to be tools that are going to take care of all of that. But what do tools don't have is empathy, empathy and solving problems. Because in order for it to solve the problem, that should have happened multiple times for it to really figure out, right? So I think that's one of the things, if we really want to stay in the industry, in any industry, something that a computer doesn't have, which is empathy, sympathy. I think that's something we should all have. But is it going to take over? Absolutely not. I don't think so. There's always a human need for it, but there is more need when we have a connection with one another, which is our agents, our leaders, our managers, trying to solve a problem through empathy.
Thanks, Ian. I think there's another question. How do you see bots helping customer service? Is it a benefit or a problem?
I mean, self-service is a very good option as long as it's a particular contact type. I personally, let's say, for example, I would love to use self-service for a contact type as to where is my order. Right? I don't need to talk to anybody to figure out where is my order. So if I go into the app, and the app, like with my email ID or whatever, if I'm logged in, I type where is my order, and it says it's in transit. I'm done. Right? So self-service really, really works for that kind of type. But for different call types, like you really are concerned that you have a charge and you haven't gotten a refund, it's been 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. Maybe self-service at phase number 1 can tell you, hey, where is my refund? And it says it takes 7 days to post or 12 days to post. But after 12 days, I think bots should really, really connect the customer to somebody who can really, really explain the situation to the customer. Because I think bots are good for certain call types, but also bots may create multiple repeat customers if it's not solved in the right way, right? Like let's say, for example, if I say, where's my refund? And the bot says, it'll arrive in 5 days. And then you're okay. But you didn't get an explanation as to why it's 5 days. Maybe the bot could get a little advanced and explain what does that 5-day or 7-day rule means, that the bank takes this. Maybe that would not turn into a repeat. Again, that's an example. But many times, if the bank didn't post, the bot can't solve the problem. It's just going to create frustration and frustration and frustration. So I think certain call types, automation is really, really good. But there are certain call types that really, really need to divert to customers. But you also don't want to build an IVR, this big, where you have to press a button press 1 for where is my order, press 2 for no, you don't want to do that. I think it should be something that is a predictive model. Many companies do this really, really well, where like for example, if you order food, one of the companies I tried out, which was really, really good, I had ordered food online on my vacation last week, and it says the driver hasn't picked up my food. So I went to help, and it just said automatically that, hey, do you want to cancel? If you want to cancel, we're going to give you, if you don't cancel, this is what's going to happen. We're going to give you a credit of $20 for your next stay because we've delayed your order, but your order is on its way and could arrive in 45 minutes, which is 45 minutes later. So I didn't need to talk to anybody, but I also got a $20 credit because my order was delayed without even talking to anybody. So those are the cool things that companies are coming up with, because they figured out it was about my food. So if companies in e-commerce can really come out and say, okay, out of all of these 10 items the customer bought in the last 5 days, which one are they calling about? And can that be self-served? Is it regarding your phone? Is it regarding your TV? So again, in short, bots are okay as long as certain call types, not for everything.
Great. There's one more question, and thanks for that. answering. What has been the innovation in Walmart in this year, and what do you see that innovation possibility in the organization where where we want to learn from?
Again, I really can't talk about the ton of things that we do internally with Walmart, but what I can say is that we've done some amazing stuff at Walmart to really improve customer satisfaction, and we've launched multiple. If you look at, I'm sure there are many BPOs here who currently support us. They know it. Since last March, since COVID-8, we've just been growing and growing and growing. Recently, we also launched the vaccine project, which Walmart took over. And, is basically we hire a ton of folks to really, for people who are scheduling appointments in the US to really get a vaccine. It started off with the age category and then it moved on. Now everybody or most of it can schedule an appointment. We still have that. The way we try to innovate and create it differently is through partnership, is to really figuring out how, our BPOs that we currently have done an amazing job for us. They've known it, they've all been in a tough spot. I think just having the right groups, right teams, anything is possible. None of us predicted what would happen. But we've onboarded 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 people, and that's just been ongoing for us since March. Forecasting teams. I think we can really not predict the future, but if you have a strong group that really is passionate about doing what they do every day, figuring it out. Anything hits you, you don't have to worry. You have a strong team that will figure out. As long as you work together. Like I have I have 3 groups. My team is broken down into 3 groups, which is forecasting, performance management, and really intraday and scheduling. And they work really well. And I have Nirav here who's really looking at. We have a golden rule in our team, and the golden rule is that Nirav, for example, forecasting, Nirav will worry about next week. RT and scheduling will be worried about this week. Performance management will be worried about, Nirav is looking at, let's say, this next week to the next 6 weeks. So 6 or 8 weeks. I get involved and I'm looking at what can I bring next quarter or what can I bring next month. So we all know what roles we're playing. I don't go into the day-to-day anymore like I used to be. I have a strong team that really takes care of that. So anything, building a strong team creates amazing innovation. Most of my folks, I talked about it last time, most of my folks who are working with me now, I think, about 40 to 50% of my team, they've never done workforce before. They've absolutely not. And they are one of the best workforce people I've worked with. Reporting too, I have strong reporting people, right? We've gotten multiple tools. We have moved away from really doing Excel. We get into, that's how we try to innovate, give them the tools they want. I had a person who came in and said, hey, I like this tool and I can give you the best reporting. So we got that tool and now we have the best reporting. And I think that's how innovation works. As long as you, some companies really, it's very difficult to really do that. But I think we really need to give the people a choice, multiple choice questions, right? Think about it that way, is because they are the pros in it and they get to make the decision and they own it. And if something went wrong, they will own it. And if something went right, they'll own it too. And that's how you create innovation, where people in my team will come up with amazing ideas just because they're given an opportunity to really own the stuff and take care of it. till the end.
Thanks, Ian. Very insightful. Do you have any more questions? We have 8 minutes to complete the session with, and if you have any last question, that's 1 or 2 questions quickly, if you can. And there's one question: if I had to drive innovation in the organization, what do you suggest that we should do? First step, and how do we kickstart as an innovation? As of now, there's no innovation in the organization. If I had to kickstart innovation in the organization, what do you guide? What should be the right way or method or strategy to follow?
The way I do innovation is I just hire people smarter than me that can really come and say, you know what, I can take you to the next level. I can take this company to the next level. Who can really give me ideas to really go and propose. See, my job is to be the middleman between the executive team and my team. So, you know, when one of the perfect example is reporting, you know, we were doing everything in normal, and then I hired a girl. Her name is Maya. She came and said, "I've never worked workforce, but I can take your reporting to the next level." Okay, I said, "How are you going to do this? Because the way we measure it is very different, right? Like you have." She's like, "I'll do it for you." So I hired her, taking a chance, and she's never heard about workforce. And she came on board. She reports to Lira, and we have one of the best reporting, I think, in my entire workforce career. I've never seen anybody have workforce reporting this way, which is calculated very differently. We have compliance metrics by 30-minute, and you know, everything that was not possible became possible with somebody who didn't know workforce. We just told her what we need, and we got it. That's how innovation occurs. You know, I think it's getting the right people, and if it's you who wants to innovate something, I think you have to go to your leader and really show what can you do, right? You have to build the trust. See, there are a ton of people who come to me and say, you know, hey, Ian, I can do this. I'm really not going to believe all of them. Yes, I took a chance on Maya, but I'm not going to believe if 100 people came. Unless you prove it to your leader, you prove it to the organization that this is really going to work. And again, many times it cannot be just with belief. It has to be with data. And most importantly, it has to be with zero emotion. Because end of the day, for workforce, we are absolutely not in a situation to ever use emotion. When it comes to forecasting or planning, we cannot say, I think we will need, our attrition will be 5%. We never get to say that. The only thing we get to say is, our attrition is going to be 5% or not. But you know, the innovation happens is when, if you are personally want to create something amazing, building trust and showing that you're capable of doing it, or at least giving a trailer, right, of what we think you should be doing, what you're going to do. Instead of giving the bigger 2-hour movie, give the organization a trailer, show them that this is what it's capable of, and what it can do, and it can save, and you know, that's how innovation happens. It really, you know, I was reading this article that really talked about, if you look at companies, right? Talk about any company, you could pick any company. You have a CEO, and then you have another person. And then let's say the CEO's salary could be $1 million, and then the person below could be making $20,000 a year. Yet they both work in the same company. Why? Because it's value. That's it. Value is all it takes. If you show value, you show innovation, you say, okay, I can really show value, that's it. You could get up the ladder there. But again, just standing and saying, okay, this is what I think we should do, and never, nobody's ever going to trust you. No leader will trust you. So I think innovation happens with you giving the company, showing what you can do with what you have before you get good things.
Thanks, Ian. It's been a great learning for me, and also I think rest of the participants who have been asking questions and also who have been listening to you. This has been another great learning for this year, 2021, and very informative insights, and gives us a great pleasure and deepest gratitude for you to like join us here, and from really express deepest gratitude for your presence and your valuable time, and you really inspired the rest of the WFM community and in the industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ian, for spending time. And Ian has been a great support all through the summits that we've done. And it's wonderful how despite the fact that we have never met Ian physically, but Ian has been one of our greatest supports. Thank you, Ian, for showing this solidarity. And I'm sure your support goes a long way in keeping workforce management and GWFM alive in the next epoch.
Well, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You guys are doing a pretty good job. I was on PTO for the last 2 weeks and couldn't connect, but I'm back and glad I could make it here. But I think you guys are doing good stuff, especially for the young talent, right? For the talent that is just getting into workforce, because it's the most. One thing I want to call out here, right? We do a ton of hiring, right? We do day in and day out, and workforce talent is high in demand here in the US today. When I say workforce, I'm talking about overall workforce. It doesn't matter you're good or bad, or you want to learn, or you're new, or you're little or not. The demand is really, really high, and we really can't fit. And it's going to get even worse. It's going to get even worse because after COVID, 99% of the companies have really, really realized that this is the group that we really, really need. And because the way we plan, the way we forecast, but I think in order to move to the future, good workforce folks have to look at, the numbers game is very much needed, but I think we have to apply the human piece to it. And then we'll be not unstoppable in the industry. We will be the most wanted teams across the world, as long as we're doing everything right with whatever we have and apply that empathy piece. Because end of the day, you don't want the tool to be deciding what that person has to work or not. That makes it look very simple that this is all workforce does. And that's not good for the person who's really going to show up to work and for the person who's also pressing the button. So again, I'm glad to be here, but I just wanted to share that, anybody who's just new here, who's just started, when I joined workforce, years and years ago, I hated it for the first couple of years because I was like, I'm getting into the room just to get beaten up. But as long as you really, really, are passionate about it, you will love it. Because see, I've done operations, it's boring. I mean, no offense to the operations folks, but it's really boring for me. Because I've done it 3-4 years and then we're done. But with workforce, every day there's something different. You're in different challenges, you're into different things to solve. But again, good luck to everyone. I appreciate being here. I appreciate being invited to this. And if there's anything you guys need, always feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. I'm available there.
Thanks a lot, Kian. Deeply appreciate your support. Deeply appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.